Right, so another, well, semi-sunny day to do these. So this is lesson number 4. Remember lesson 1? We covered some very basic things, including the parts of the guitar, or I'm sorry, the parts of the ukulele, um, how to hold it, things of that nature. We went through things like basic finger exercise and some rhythm drills with a call and response. The next one we took a look at tablature so that we could do scales and melodies and whatnot. Last time we looked at chords, and today we're going to look at a few tricks on moving from chord to chord, and from there we're gonna just strum through a few things. So let's go ahead now. And what we did last time is we went straight into the chords, and I just said like pause and go back and take the next lesson. But I do want to go through now and ramp things up just a touch, with the assumption that you've been practicing pretty well for the past couple of weeks. So let's go through and start at the very beginning with just a basic finger exercise. And again, I'm going to go through at a certain speed. You don't have to match the speed I'm playing. Remember, the idea is to get each note to ring perfectly. The idea is not how quickly you can do it. And then again, I'm playing with no pick today. You can do this if you're using your fingers with a thumb, as I'm doing here, or with a finger, or with 2 fingers, or a different finger. However, whatever you want to do for now is fine. And if you're using a pick, of course, you're going to be going through with downstrokes. You're going to be going through with upstrokes. Doesn't matter. We just want to take a couple of minutes and go through our basic finger exercise. So, put stuff out of my pocket here. Sorry about that. All right. And with that said, here we go. Do the same thing on the second string. Okay, and you can spend a few more minutes on that, but we usually don't want to spend too much time on simple dexterity drills. We want to keep things as musical as possible. So let's take just a moment, and I don't have quite the clunk I did last time, but so we're going to do a little call and response. So if I go, then you go. If I go, then you go. Good. Excellent. All right. Now, before we move on, I want to do another rhythm drill. Identical concept, call and response, but we're going to do a different type of rhythm. Those have all been what we refer to as straight rhythms, and now we're going to do what are called shuffle rhythms. So I'm going to add these types of rhythms in for you as well, shuffles and triplets and whatnot. So, all right, so we're going to start it off the same way. And you go. Whoops, I messed our rhythms up. Let's try that one more time. Got a little distracted there. And you go. And I go. Talk more about those later, but for now, we just want to start adding some of those shuffle rhythms in along with our regular straight rhythms in. So let's take just a moment and run through that C major scale. And as always, if you're doing with your fingers, you can then switch to pick, all ups, or all downs. Okay, and now rushing through it again, as always, so as not to waste a lot of time. The idea is not to play it this fast. You want to play it with all the notes ringing out just like you want them. Looks like the sun's coming out a little more. We had a bit of a storm cloud over there. I looked up at it a few times here as we're going through. I was wondering if I was going to get rained on. Okay, so let's do that a little bit more. Now, the scale, just so you know, is because a lot of songs will have connecting notes between chords, for example. That's one example. There's several things that scale is good for, but just as a for example. So it's something like Lean on Me. I'm playing the notes in between into the next chord, and then back down into the, and so forth and so on. So the idea, it's right out of that scale. It's just the notes right from it. So the idea in playing through the scale is that your fingers learn where to go, your ear learns the sound of that, and then as you're listening to walking notes in between chords, for example, or melodies that you're playing, say a piece of the melody, or playing an entire melody, or riff type things, your ear gets used to that and your fingers know where to go. And there's more places to play that. So we'll learn all those others, but the idea is still, though, your ear gets used to that sound and your fingers get used to working together in concert, as it were. So, at any rate, that's the idea of the scale. And so that's why we're playing it, not just because it's this thing that we're supposed to do because it was in a book or some such nonsense as that, right? So the idea is we want it functional, and that it's a very functional thing to learn. We'll learn another scale later down the road, but for now, that's the reason you're playing that scale. So you always, as you're playing it, you want to really be listening to it and cognizant of what's happening, and really learning the sound of it as you're playing. You can also, if you already read music, for example, or have experience with other instruments, you can also speak or even sing. Or you can C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that helps out. That helps a lot with your voice as well. If you're singing the same notes that you're playing, or an octave below, or 2 octaves below, whatever your voice may be. But that's the idea. So C, F, G. So that will help connect some of those things that you've got in your past, if you've got any of that musical training or experience in your past. So at any rate, moving on. Let's take a few moments and review some of those chords we went through last time, and we started with the F. So let's just play through that F a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to move to the D chord next. Ready? Then D. Okay, and then we're going to move after that. The C chord is next. Remember, that's a 1-finger chord. So I just hop that across. Next up is the A chord. There's your A. The next up is our G chord. From G, we're going to go right to the G minor. Fun with it. Okay, then the D minor. Then the A minor. Okay, so let's take a look at a few tricks that'll help us get from chord to chord. You may have seen some in there as I was doing them. But for example, when I was on that D minor, you may have noticed looking at the pages that if I simply remove this finger and move this finger over, now that's from a larger idea of simply moving. If there was a 5th string and I moved this entire shape over and this was on another, then I'd be holding it. Now I'm switching that finger out, but the idea is that shape. That shape is basically the same, just moved across, right? So now I'm also pivoting off this finger, which is another one of our concepts. We can move an entire shape. We can pivot off of a finger, or we can alter a shape by moving one finger. And those three ideas are basically it. And what you'll find is that sometimes you're using those at the same time. You may be using some combination of those three ideas, but one of those three ideas is always at play. So that's the idea. So as you're doing that, you really want to view it as an entire shape moving across. So what I want you to do is stop the video for a moment and just practice that a little bit and make sure you're getting the hang of it. So that's a D minor to your A. Okay. And we're back, right? So one of the other concepts, we sort of got it as we were playing that G to G minor. If you notice this finger as we went to the G minor, this finger just replaced this finger. It went to the exact same spot, and the main reason is because once it's there, it frees this finger to come here. But I'm pivoting right off of that finger. So you can work back and forth with it to get comfortable with it without even playing it.